What's up, everybody? Josh Armijo here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to show it to you right now. This is the debut album from the band Delusional Parasitosis, entitled Ingurgitating Intestinal Rot. This is released on New Standard Elite. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they are based out of both Detroit, Michigan in the US and Germany. And the best way to describe the sound of this band would be a very gore-fueled, fast-paced, non-stop blasting style of brutal death metal. My first introduction to this band was their 2013 promo single entitled Gluttonous Consumption of Prenatal Malformation. Now, in the course of that one particular song, I could tell that this band was going to have a boatload of potential to showcase for it. The very guttural vocal style and delivery and presentation, the musicianship, the really awesome slammy sort of riffs, the fast-paced drumming and all-natural approach. This band had a lot going for it, and what they were going to end up bringing to the table was their debut full-length entitled Ingurgitating Intestinal Rot. Now, from what I understand, it was supposed to have a mid-2014 release, but there seemed to have been some kind of major setbacks preventing it from being able to come out. To make a long story short, this band switched to a new label, that new label being New Standard Elite, and pretty much had rescheduled the album to come out towards a later 2014 date. Now, after all of the waiting and anticipating, here we are with the debut full-length from Delusional Parasitosis, once again entitled Ingurgitating Intestinal Rot. It's 7 tracks, and it clocks in at around 22 minutes in length, and what this album lacks in time, it definitely, more than anything, makes up for it with the musicianship. I am absolutely stunned and floored with what is being presented here on this album. I mean, this is just such a monumental leap from what was originally showcased from this band previously. And honestly, I would hope that in the future, this band and this overall idea continues to mold itself to become even more chaotic and crazy than what's already being presented here. Music-wise, this is just so phenomenal sounding. I love the way the guitar work is being implemented here. Like, you hear it on the opening track, Dehumanized onto Genesis. I just love the way the riff work sounds on there. Just the beefiness of the guitar tone just sounds so right. I love the way that everything is executed on that song, especially when it comes to the more slammier, techier sort of parts. I really love what they do with that song, and especially on songs like Dysmorphic Transmutation and the album version of Gluttonous Consumption of Prenatal Malformation. Just the riff work on there is just so destructive and chaotic. I love what's being done here with these guitar riffs, and just the overall speed of the riffs, the execution, the style. It just works so well to this band's advantage. I'm loving the bass guitar tone too. I'm loving how gritty and grimy it sounds. It's definitely audible and well heard throughout this entire release. Once again, going back to the opening track, Dehumanized onto Genesis, I just love the way the bass sounds towards the second half of that song. I just really think it sounds phenomenal. And then once again, going back to Gluttonous Consumption, I think the bass work on that song is just so stellar. I don't think it tries to battle with the guitars being executed here. I definitely think the bass work definitely has its own moments and places throughout this entire record, and definitely is a joy to listen to. Now we get on to probably one of my favorite things about this entire release, and that is the drums. For the longest time, I knew of this guy being a really good vocalist, but I never knew that he was such a gifted and talented drummer for how young he is and how intelligent he is. This guy is such a smart person, and with Ingurgitating Intestinal Rot, he definitely is going to set a benchmark for his sort of drumming style. It is just so relentless, powerful, manic. I mean, the snare tone, it's just amazing. That sort of pingy, crazy sort of snare tone being done here throughout this album. It is so infectious and catchy. It gets in your head and stays with you the entire time. But this album isn't just solely reliant on a snare tone. There is a lot more to it than that. There is a lot of great quick fills, a lot of awesome blast beats, a lot of creative hyper blast sort of styles. I mean, it just sounds so incredibly fast. The double bass sounds like a Tommyknocker machine gun. It has that sort of quality, and definitely it's amazing to realize that he is just so very talented at what he does on the drum work. At any kind of drumming style, he can make it work. When it's fast-paced, when it's more slam pit riff orientated, I definitely appreciate what this drummer brings here with this album. It's just an incredible performance, and I am very much excited for him to have a brighter future. I know he also happens to be drumming for bands like Infecting the Swarm and soon to be with Abhorrent Castigation. I'm very, very excited for Alex and his future. And now we get on to the vocals. This guy. This vocalist is such an insane vocalist. This is the same guy who recently did work with bands such as Scatorgy and the previous Extremely Rotten EP, the one with the alien cover. You know what I'm talking about, but yeah. This is one of his main particular bands, and his vocal work is just so disgustingly brutal. I love his vocal delivery here. It is very ugly, very guttural, very disgusting. I want to say once again, going on the track Gluttonous Consumption, there's a part in the slower slammy part of the track where it almost feels as though you're hearing him slurp and retch his vocals. It just sounds so nasty. And going to the track Dysmorphic Transmutation, there's a vocal style that he does that just, it kind of feels as if you were to hear what a Predator sounds like. You know, the Predator, the alien guy. I have a feeling that's what a Predator would sound like. Just instead of his roars, you hear a very rat-a-tat sort of guttural growl being delivered on that track. It is just so amazing. I mean, he mainly has a set plan for his vocals, but what he does with the vocals is just so marvelous. I love his delivery. I love his lyrical balances. I just love his overall performance, and it's just so amazing. Even the 2 bonus tracks that appear on here, you can definitely tell there's a shift in production change when you compare the first 5 tracks to the last 2. And they do have a more old school, natural sort of feeling towards it. The snare doesn't seem to be as pingy, the riffs don't seem to be as overly dominant, but it definitely has an old school sort of approach to it. You still get those really ugly, guttural vocal styles being presented on those last 2 tracks, but yeah. I wish this didn't end so soon. I wish it wasn't so short, but it only... It hypes me up to know that there'll be more new stuff from them in the future, hopefully. So overall, this is definitely a band to be on the lookout for. This is going to be a band that definitely continues to break boundaries and just break the mold for brutal death metal. They do it a very simple sort of style, but yet it's a simple style worth paying attention to and listening to. If you're into brutal death metal, if you're into guttural vocals, if you're into awesome natural drumming, Delusional Parasitosis are the real deal, and I am so very happy to listen to this album. It is definitely worth repeated listen. So I'm going to leave you some links in the description box as to how you can get a hold of this album and listen to it. I will link you to the New Standard Elite Bandcamp page where you can stream this album in its entirety, hear it for yourself, and be your own judge as to whether you think it's worthy of being purchased or not. You can buy it digitally there, and I will link you to where you can purchase the physical copy. You can buy the CD through New Standard Elite. There are t-shirt, hoodie, long sleeve options available, and I will also link you to the respective web stores for both the US and internationally, so you can buy the album from direct through the band either way you choose to, no matter where you live at. So I'm going to show you the album again. This is Ingurgitating Intestinal Rot by Delusional Parasitosis. This is released on New Standard Elite. Buy this, and I'm going to give this a very solid 9 out of 10. This is an incredible debut from an incredible band with so much potential to be shown here. So support Delusional Parasitosis. I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks all for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel, and until the next time, Army Ho out.